Happy New Year. I really need to clean these tips. I am working on some new stuff for my shop. I'm working on kind of like a basics line. Like I have a lot of, if you're familiar with my jewelry, it's all very like eclectic and like some of it isn't stuff that people would typically wear every day. Like it can be big and like very statement jewelry, like all of this stuff. And so I'm working on a line of like basic bands, and also I want to make a few like staple earpieces that people can wear all the time, like some gold pieces with moissanite, just some, like I made this earpiece, so just like some really cute but like studs and crawlers. And so I am gonna try, right now the way I do everything is I make everything in silver, and sometimes I make like my masters in gold as well if I'm just playing around and I want to see it in gold. But I typically make everything in silver, and I usually use like real moissanite and stuff. I never use CZs for like masters. But I think now I'm gonna try something new, and I think from now on I'm gonna try and make everything in bronze just for myself and for photos. And whenever, like instead of using moissanite for my samples, I'm gonna use CZs just to be more cost effective. Hi, Happy New Year. So right now I'm working on finding a bronze that looks as similar to gold as I can possibly find. So I got some silicone bronze from Pepe Tools. So I'm hoping it can look similar to my gold pieces. That way I can photograph it and it still looks like gold, and then I can actually make it in gold when people order. But anyway, I'm just trying to be more cost effective and be able to like not feel guilty for making so many new designs because I'm not wasting like valuable materials. So I've never cast in gold before, and I've never cast in place cubic zirconia, although when you look it up, it says you can cast in place cubic zirconia. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna just make a really quick little ear crawler, or just a quick little like unique stud. And because I have a bunch started, like I have some bands started, and I don't want to like test on these ones that are taking me so long to make. So I'm gonna make this earring real quick, and then we're gonna invest the flask together, and then I'm gonna cast it and cast these stones in place with the bronze, and hopefully it comes out good and I feel better about casting a big bulk of new pieces in this, and hopefully it looks a lot like gold. Just looking at it right now, it looks a little more brown, but I'm hoping that maybe it's just oxidized and it can come out looking more like gold after I polish it. But again, I'm not selling bronze pieces. I'm not gonna add any bronze items to my website. I just want to use them as my masters. But let's see. Thank you, Luke. That is very sweet. Blah, blah, blah. No, not pre-recorded. Okay, so let's start this little ear crawler. Hopefully this test goes well, because I've got so many other pieces that I want to make that I would like to see in gold, but it's just not practical to cast everything in gold. So we're gonna do something really small. There's so many different types of bronzes whenever you are looking up like to cast in bronze, and there's like ancient bronze. This is something I never even dug into because I was so into working with silver, but there's like ancient bronze, bronze chunks with no other like description to it, silicon bronze, another one that I don't even know how to pronounce the name. But if anyone is cast in bronze like and it looks like gold, can you please tell me what specific bronze you used? And that way I mean, who knows, maybe this will come out good and it'll look like gold, and if it does, I'll let you guys know. But there's just so many different options. There's some with a more red undertone, there's yellow bronze. Let's see. Red brass looks more yellow like gold. Just learned this today, coincidentally. Oh, nice. Okay, well, if this turns out too red or too brown, then maybe I'll try brass. It's just that brass, I'm pretty sure, is harder than bronze, but how much is casting? Ooh, that's a loaded question. I do have prices on my website if someone's interested in having their pieces cast, but do you have any spare uranium? I don't know. How do I get into jewelry? I currently sell grills. How would I transfer? I mean, if you already sell grills and you've got like a customer base, then just do it. Like, make the move. Just start making jewelry, and I would just start posting it and film as much of the process as you can and just share it. And hopefully those people that have already bought your jewelry are loyal customers, and hopefully they move on over to your jewelry side. Thank you for subscribing. What am I selling? I sell jewelry. I'm making an ear piece, like a crawler or a stud, probably for like the second earring. Let's see. What about brass? It's harder than bronze, give and take. Yeah. Yeah, lots of spam. Yeah, so for those of you that weren't here in the beginning, I'm making some new pieces for the new year. And instead of making all of my pieces in silver like I normally do and in moissanite, I'm gonna try and start making my masters or like these like tester designs. I'm gonna try and start making them in bronze and with cubic zirconia, selling obviously in like the quality materials, but just to make it in something more affordable, just so I can put out more collections more often. Your channel over the holidays and have been binge watching your content. Oh, thank you so much, Stephanie. That's really sweet. Thank you. Do you know what percentage of copper you put in your silver to keep it harder? Ooh, I don't mix any, I don't like alloy any of my metals. I buy my casting green from Rio Grande, so that I don't have to mess with all of that. And off the top of my head, I don't know how they alloy it. Yeah, definitely lots of spam, just ignore them. Don't really know what I'm going for here. Just something kind of dainty, but with a lot of, I'm gonna put a lot of like 1.5 millimeter CZs. I want it to be very sparkly. Really, this is just a test, so it doesn't have to come out super perfect, but hey, if it does, then great. And then I can just make a mold of it and keep going. Let's see. Thank you. Yeah, it's hard to get a moderator. I'm just a small business, just me. I don't have anyone I can pay to moderate my lives. I find that if you just ignore those folks, then we all can just have a conversation. Thank you, Franny. One second. Thank you, Stephanie. I'd be here all day playing on that screen if I had to do that, but it's okay. I'm not gonna let anyone run me off my own live. I hope everyone had a good holiday, a good new year. Try not to make this too bulky, but I want it to be like very free-formed. I do this for a living. I went full-time in April with my jewelry business, and yeah, it was the best year of my life. Very fun. Feel very lucky. Okay, let me get a little drill bit just to take away some of this metal. I'm hoping that if I cast these in place, I've had experience where when I cast stones in place, they cast really well, but whenever I go to solder on the ear post, it turns my stone brown, which is really strange because if it can survive in the kiln, I don't know why it wouldn't make it being like an ear post being soldered on. Let's see, when did I feel confident to start selling my work? Honestly, I was working in a group, like a big group of women. I was working at a credit union, and I think they gave me the confidence to start selling my work. Like when I first started learning and I was just playing, and I would go to work and they would say like, oh, that's so pretty, or whatever. Like just having people to show as I got better, and seeing people say like, oh, I would buy that, like if you sold it, you know. I had a lot of good friends at work that were super, super supportive. And yeah, I think that gave me the courage to start selling, which is really good. If anyone's wanting to start learning how to make jewelry, I really suggest that you start selling as quickly as possible. And I know that people don't want to just like sell to friends and family and stuff, but in the beginning, those are gonna be your biggest supporters, and that's what's gonna allow you to buy more tools and just get better, you know? So definitely start selling as soon as you can, even when you feel like you're not like at the peak of where you want to be. I was nowhere near what I wanted to be when I first started selling my jewelry. I just was having fun and people liked it, and I was like, okay, if you want it, I'll sell it to you. And I sold at every stage of learning. When I felt like I wasn't great, but I was just good. When I didn't really feel like it was my style, I was selling. Like, just start selling as soon as you can, because it will help you grow. Thank you, Michi. I'm from Southeast Texas. I'm making an earring. I do use precious metals. I normally use like 10 karat gold, 14 karat gold, sterling silver. I haven't used 18 or 24 karat yet, but I hope to this year. Yeah, so Faith, for this earring, I am gonna cast the stones in place. So some of my stuff I don't cast stones in place, and others I do. But this whole earring, if you're just coming in here, is just a test. I am gonna start casting my masterpieces, my master molds in bronze. And so I just wanted to test out this bronze that I got from Pepe Tools. And I wanted to test out casting cubic zirconia in place for my masters, because once I cast this, I'm not selling bronze stuff, but I am gonna make a mold of it, and then when people order it, I would cast it in gold. But it's more cost effective to make my masters in bronze, and that's what a lot of people do, is they make the master in bronze, and then they make a mold, and then as they get orders, they cast it in whatever gold, whatever carat, or whatever metal was purchased. So that's what I'm gonna try and do. I've never cast bronze before, so after I finish this earring, this test earring, we're gonna invest a flask, and then tonight I will cast this in bronze. Let's see. Started making jewelry recently. That's exciting, Ro. Yeah, that's cool. I've always been told and suggested to cast in bronze, but because I had never cast in bronze before and I knew what I was doing in silver, I didn't want to like deviate and I wasn't interested in learning another metal and how another metal casts and melts and stuff like that. But I'm ready to like get my shit together. Let's see. Just started to get my wax pieces cast, made my first 9 karat gold. Oh, nice, that's very exciting. Can I burn out the wax form a mold with a normal fire, or do you need a burnout oven? So you need a burnout oven because you need to be able to control the temperature and for how long it's held at that temperature. The investment cures different at different temperatures, and you need it to cure in that special way, because when you go to pour your metal in, if it's not cured well, then your investment can burst. So you do want like some kind of kiln. A programmable kiln is more ideal because then you can set it and leave it, and it will, like for example, mine goes to a 300 degrees and then it holds for like an hour to let the wax evaporate, and then it goes up, and then over the course of an hour it goes up to, I believe, 1,000 degrees, and then it stays at 1,000 for I think 2 hours, and then it goes up to 1350, and then it stays at 1350 for like 4 hours, and then it slowly goes down. So you need to be able to control that temperature, whether you're doing it manually or you're programming it. I use my tabletop kiln. I have it linked in my Amazon storefront, but it's tabletop programmable kiln. I believe it's $700, which isn't horrible. And I've been using it for a year, and sometimes I cast like 3 or 4 times a week, and so it's done a really, really, really good job. Just be careful when you buy a tabletop kiln, because some of them don't have the hole at the top, and so when you're burning out wax, you need it to have the hole at the top. So make sure you're looking at the pictures and get the one with the hole at the top. Let's see. Do you have info about your casting service? I'm just starting out and looking for someone. I heard you say offer it. Yes, if you go to my website, materamade.com, and you go to services, I've got a whole Q&A and price list on there, and you can look at that. But if you have any questions, you can email me. Hi from Belgium. I'm casting in silica bronze. This is the first time I've ever done it. I've done minimal research. I just saw it on Pepe's Tool website, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll start doing what I should have been doing a long time ago. And then after I already bought it, I went down the rabbit hole of Rio Grande, and I saw that they had ancient bronze, yellow bronze, a bronze that started with an M. I don't know. There's so many different types. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully I got the one that is going to work the best for me, but we shall see. Let's see. I want to start casting pretty soon for Christmas. I got a foundry, and I've been really wanting. And I'm gonna do some casting because of fun. Aw. Just get started. If you have everything you need, don't be scared. Just jump in. What flask and metal temperatures do you use when casting sterling silver? So the flask just depends on the size of your jewelry, what fits in the flask. I usually use a 3.5 by 4-inch flask, perforated flask. And my metal temperature for silver is, I think, 1,850, I believe. I believe 1,850. Yeah, that sounds right. These comments are so funny, as if I care at all. You're welcome, David. Let's see. I wanted to make 3D printed jewelry, but when I found your page, I wanted to make jewelry by hand, but just later down the line because of equipment. Yeah, 3D printed jewelry is really cool. It takes a whole other skill set. If you know CAD or whatever other program people use for that, then that's awesome. That's a huge, valuable skill set. If you're worried about the equipment though, there are a lot of casters who you can send your 3D file to, and they will print it and cast it. So you can outsource a lot of this work to make it more affordable upfront for you. So let's say you were really good at 3D CAD, but you didn't have a lot of the tools. Then maybe you could just send the file to a caster and share your 3D designs and get like pre-orders for it. Maybe some people need to see like a physical piece, but others can look at a drawing and fall in love with the design. So don't let the lack of equipment stop you from moving forward. If you order a ring with a certain size in your shop, can we change its size, for example, after 1 year? I ask because weight fluctuations make a big difference. That's a good question. So different types of rings can be resized. So like a ring that's set in a ring, like a flush setting or a grain setting, or what's another good example? Yeah, probably those. Those can only be resized like a half size because you end up, as you make the ring smaller, then you're stretching that setting and your stone can pop out. So some rings just aren't conducive to being resized. And then claw settings are a lot easier because you can just pull the claw back, take the stone out and resize it. But some rings also have stones cast in place. And for some reason, sometimes when you cast stones in place, they survive in the kiln, but when you reheat the ring with a flame, it can put like almost like this rainbowy color on the outside of the stone. And so I've never really felt comfortable doing that. But I do have a welder now and I can resize rings with a welder. So it would honestly depend on the ring. You would have to just reach back out and ask, and I'll always be honest with what I feel capable of. Also, some rings, someone else might be more capable than me to resize, someone who has more technical tools like laser welders and stuff, but it would just depend on the ring. I have worked with PMC. I'm trying to remember what I've gotten from there. I don't know if it was like, what did I get from there? PMC. I would have to look at my email, but I think I've gotten like gaskets and stuff from them, but I normally work with Pepe Tools in Rio Grande and Auto Fray. Let's see. Have you ever cast in stainless steel? No, never. Never. Thank you so much, Les. I'm gonna call you Les because I don't know if that's your full name, Les Miles. Thank you. Happy New Year's. Okay, so let's see if we can get this ring done. Just trying to set these stones in here, and then we're gonna secure them. I need to get some of those little, what are they called? They help you pick up stones, but they have like really sticky pieces on the front. Sometimes like the heat of your pen and the leftover wax on your pen can help you pick up stone. Just be careful not to do that with stones that are like heat sensitive. Only do it with like CZs or lab gems or moissanite, sapphire. Just be careful. It's funny how small stones can look when they're not in your piece, and then you put them in and you're like, damn, I wish I had some smaller some smaller gems to kind of accent these larger ones. They don't look big when they're in the packet or when they're in a ring. It's hard to believe these are the same size gems. Are these not the same size? No, they are. Let's see. Thank you, yeah boy. Let's see. Yeah, I just don't interact with any of those folks. Sorry for the people that are actually here to like watch or learn. I'm not paying attention whatsoever. Need some like tiny pliers just to pick this up. Yeah, so David, I'm gonna cast these stones in place. So I'm just setting them into the wax. You have to be careful when you're casting stones in place though, because if you aren't able to see close enough, so like once I'm done with this, I'll get my magnifying glasses and look really close. But sometimes they can fall out when casting. So you have to be really careful to make sure you put enough wax over the face of the stone, and that you don't have like, that you have enough wax behind the stone as well, so it doesn't fall into the setting. I've had some weird things happen when casting stones in place. I've had stones like disappear inside the ring. I've had stones fall out in the kiln. So you gotta be really, really, really careful, especially the smaller you go, the easier it is for stuff like that to happen. Just gotta be real careful. But again, this is just a sample piece. If this doesn't come out great, it's okay. But I'm just trying to see how this bronze looks. I've never cast in bronze before, but we're just gonna see how it looks so that I can make sure that I can cast my other like new designs in this bronze instead of casting in gold for the master copy and then casting in gold later. Yeah, baby, and it's really nice to work at your own pace, work from home. hope you get that this year. Thank you, Goya. It's so funny. It's so funny how, like, some days I can come on here and have like a normal live experience and talk to the people that watch my videos and stuff. And then others I come on here and it's like, is this a giant waste of time? I don't know. I'm just so curious, like, don't you guys have jobs? Like, is this your job to come on here and fake harass people? It's really funny though, you genuinely don't bother me. It's very interesting and very sad. Don't you want to be happy? Why don't you go play outside? Go be happy. Thank you, Emma. You're very sweet. Yeah, the holidays. No one's working right now. Let's see. Like, could you even imagine? Could you imagine, like, in your free time making fake YouTube accounts and commenting on random people's stuff? It's really nuts. Thank you, ya boy. Yeah. I don't do any 3D modeling. I wish I knew how to do like CAD or like designing in those types of software programs. I wouldn't mind learning one day to just kind of incorporate the two together. But no, everything I carve and wax and then make a mold and cast it. It's just fun. I love working in wax. It's very like therapeutic. Let's see. Do stones get affected by the heat when casting? So thankfully, no. Not the only stones that I've had that say they can be cast that didn't cast well or that broke in casting are my lab grown emeralds. My sapphires have always turned out really great. My moissanites have always turned out really good. It's always just been lab emeralds, and not all of them, just some of them. You just have to be careful which types of stones you try and cast in place. Just remember, not all stones can be cast in place. And a quick Google search, if you forget what I tell you, a quick Google search will let you know what can and what can't be cast in place. Thank you, Sunita. Hello, Connor. Is it possible to cast with gemstones? So it is possible. Yes, you can cast with gemstones. It's always a risk though. Like, I will say that even if something says that it can be cast in place, like, anything can happen. But I think the thing that's more likely to possibly happen, anything that is that your stone either falls out or it falls into your piece. You just have to be careful. You got to practice. Also, not all casters will cast stones in place. So if you're looking for a caster, make sure that you reach out and ask if they are willing to do it, because stones can break. You might get one from someone that's not good quality, or I mean, anything can happen. It's not a perfect process, but I do it frequently enough to feel confident casting in place moissanite and sapphire. At least I try now to avoid emeralds. But can we get a close-up on what you've done so far and how you're going to add it to right now? Can you talk about your own thought process when you pull it all together? So right now I'm just playing. So I'm just stacking gems on this blob of wax. In my brain, I want it to be like, I just wanted it to be, I have 2 piercings right here. I want it to be like a good chunk of metal, like a nugget of gold with just studs all over, just like a glittery blob of gold. So here's what I have so far. I don't know if you can really tell. And so it would be gold with a bunch of gems on there. Let's see. Let's see. You're welcome, Cam. I'm glad it helps. How do you feel about lab created stones? Recently bought a lab sapphire. Just wondering if it's worthwhile adding labs. I use lab stones all the time. I think that they are a wonderful, wonderful option. I think that they are the same mineral makeup of a natural stone. And so I don't think that there's anything wrong with lab grown gems. I think it's an affordable option for people who can't afford a natural gem, but then you get the same quality of a natural gem. I don't see why anyone has a problem with it. I personally have a lot of lab grown gem options in my shop, and I think people appreciate it because then they get a pretty piece of jewelry at an affordable price, and that's still really good quality, and they sell. So I would definitely add it into your shop. Let's see. Thank you, Kim. Could you make a plant video on your YouTube? Someone finally asked that. I love my plants so much. I would love to make a plant video on my YouTube channel. I just don't know how it would be received. I don't know how many people would actually be interested in it. And so that's why I've kind of avoided it. But I love plants so much, obviously, and I would love to talk about them. Maybe I'll poll it in case people want like a little tour. Let's see. Okay. Just put this last gem on here, and then thank you, Kristen. I will look into it. Okay, thank you, Emma. Breathing on your plants helps them grow. Is that true? So now that I have the gems in, I'm just gonna add like a little top design over the gems just to make sure they're all really secure. Again, this is just a test. I want to make sure that these stones cast in place well and that the bronze looks good. And so if this isn't perfect, it's totally fine. Honestly, I'm more in a hurry just to get them in the kiln, just to see how this turns out, because I have other pieces that I've been working on for days that I want to make sure come out the way that I actually want them to, if that makes sense. Bonus if this comes out well and I actually like it and I use it in my upcoming drop. What temp do I run my wax pen on? Mine doesn't show a temp, it just has bars. I use the Touch-O-Matic from Pepe Tools. I have it linked in some of my videos, but with this like thinner tip on here, these smaller tips, I usually keep it on about like the second bar. For the larger tip, I put it on about the third bar. Because the bigger the tip, you can take these tips off and change them. The bigger the tip, the higher the temperature needs to be to heat that tip up, if that makes sense. And so, yeah. Let's see. Thank you, John. I do love my plants. I killed my first one this year on accident. I put it outside of my normal line of sight and I forgot about it. And I couldn't save it. I tried. I doused it, soaked it in water, and there was just no life left to give in it. But it's okay. It happens sometimes. Have I done any fast burnout cycles like 6 to 8 hours? So all of my burnout cycles are 8 hours. I know that's on like the shorter of the normal end of things, but that's what all of mine have been. I've never tried like a 6 or a 5 hour burnout just because everything I cast, it's usually contains like an order, a custom order, or you know, a website order. And so I never really had time to experiment. I'm open to, I'm willing to experiment. Maybe this, you know, I could have a day where I just experiment with times, but no. Although it would be so helpful to have, it would be really, really helpful to have a 5 hour burnout option for my smaller flasks. Buying stones from Etsy. Does anyone have any tips on finding good sellers? What should you look for? Are there any tips on finding good sellers? Would love some tips. Emma, I get some of my stones on Etsy. I believe the one that I use the most from Etsy is called Prime Source Gems. Prime Source Gems. Just look at their reviews really well. Look at the photos of people that send, you know, their, you know, what they get. Like just read the reviews and make sure they have tons of sales and you'll be all right. There are a lot of good gemstone sellers on Etsy, so don't be scared. I would just say read reviews. I personally also try and just buy within the US. That way they get here faster too, because when you start your business, or if you have a business, you know how important it is to like get things out as quickly as possible. And so not only are you going to pay less on shipping, but things will just get there a lot faster if you buy within the country that you are in. So if you're in the US, I mean, that's my tip. This means you can buy a new plant to replace it. Yes, Chris, that's true. My last like wish list plant, because I feel like I have all of the ones that I really, really want. My last wish list plant is a variegated alocasia frydek. I really, really, really want that one, and then I will stop buying plants. Have you ever gotten that you look good? I think I know who you're talking about, Catherine. That's very sweet. I kind of see it, but I don't know. Do you ever have any cleanup along the seam line of silicone molds when wax injecting? Because whenever I wax inject, I always get a rough edge, which I remove with a wax pen and sandpaper. Yeah, so sometimes I get flashing. Usually I find when I get flashing, it's because, usually I find when I get flashing, it's because either I didn't hold my mold tight enough or my pressure is too high. So you just have to play with whatever you're working on, but that's what I find usually causes flashing. If you are experiencing flashing, it's not a big deal. Like you know, it's so easy to clean up. You can usually just flick it right off. But yes, it's common to get it, but that's usually what's causing it is pressure that's too high or not holding your mold tight enough. Let's see. My name is Adriana. I know some people think it's Matera sometimes, but it's not. Okay, let's see. Might stick this down with some tack. You also have to be careful when you're casting stones in place that you don't have like a little film of wax over your stone, because if you do, you'll get a film of metal over your stone, and it can be really hard to kind of peel it back. If sorry, if that does ever happen to you though, where you get that little film of metal around the edges of your stone, just take a flat graver and just push it away from the surface. Just be really careful not to scratch your stone or chip it. Hi, happy to find your channel, 62 years old and just learning how to silversmith. That's so exciting, Ellen. That's awesome. It's never, ever, ever too late to start a new hobby or learn something new. I hope you're having fun and enjoying yourself. Let's see. Happy New Year, Francisco. Thank you. Do you ever do any sandcasting? I tried sandcasting one time and it didn't work, and I burnt out my butane torch. I only have a butane torch. I don't have like a Smith little torch or anything like that. I just use my butane torch, and it wasn't powerful enough to hold the temperature long enough, and so it burnt out the end of it. But I knew I didn't really want to do sandcasting in the first place, so it wasn't really worth it to me to get a better torch. So that I gave up after that. I never touched it again. How did you get into finding your style, dealing with organic symmetrical shapes? What do you usually do for inspiration? Honestly, just playing. That's how I found my style. Just playing and then seeing it and being like, okay, I really, really like that. And then I just kept going with it. I don't do anything specific for inspiration. I don't have like a method or anything. I usually just sit down and play. Like I don't ever draw anything out. Sometimes I'll just know, okay, I want to make a necklace, I want to make a pendant, and then maybe I'll have like an image in my brain and I'll just play. I wish I had something more like inspiring to say about that, but I really do just play, which is what I'm doing right now. And I'm actually like changing the shape. So kind of just comes to you once you start playing. Hello, Olivia. Okay, let's see. Trying to imagine how this will, I wish I had a mirror right in front of me so I could see how this would like size up to my ear. Just to make sure that there's enough but not too much wax covering some of these gems. You also have to make sure that there's like a thick enough amount of metal. I think sometimes people file their metal down so thin, you never really want to have less than like 0.7 millimeters of metal or wax, or it might not fully form when you cast it. So you got to be really careful with that you're not making things too shallow. I'm very hungry. My belly's growling. I've only had coffee today and I think it's 3:40. Let's see. Ah, your name is Jennifer, but that's my mom. I've got a question for how long. How long does it take? How long does it take to make, like, to make the earring and cast it? I mean, I've been here right now for about an hour, but I've also been talking. I probably could have done this in like 35 minutes. And then I invest the flask, which in the process of investing takes about 15 minutes. And then it takes 2 hours to harden. So I go do something else. And then I put it in the kiln for 8.5 hours. And then I cast it, but because it has stones in it, I can't quench it. So that's another 2 hours of cool down time. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. So once it cools, then I clear everything away, probably to clean it up. And if I'm not setting any stones, maybe another hour of cleanup. So about 15 hours total. I hope that helps. You're welcome. Very welcome. Even though this earring is just a little test, I really want it to still come out good. I'd like to be able to use it. I really like the shape so far. It's really fun and playful, and it kind of looks like a comet, which, I mean, maybe that will be the name of it if I like it and it stays. I'll show you guys as soon as I'm done, and you let me know, but I think it looks like a little comet. I'm really happy to hear that some of y'all want to see my plants. That really has been a video that's been in my brain for a while that I would love to film, but I've just never done it because I was like, people aren't here for that. Like, no one cares about my plants like I do. But some of my favorite YouTube channels are plant channels, and like, there's a girl from Canada. I don't remember what her channel is called. She's got lots of tattoos, red hair, bangs. And there's another girl from England. Anyway, I love plant channels and I love watching their videos and them showing their favorite plants and just a full tour. Maybe I'll do it. Sometimes I think of YouTube and I'm like, it shouldn't be taken so seriously. Like, if you love it, just share it. And if people don't want to watch it, it's fine. And then the people that do like it will. And then other times I'm like, no, people are here for the jewelry. Don't scare them away thinking you're going to be becoming a plant channel. Can you cast the jewelry with the stones already set? Yes, if you're using certain stones. Only certain stones can be cast in place. So a lot of lab-grown gems can be cast in place. Moissanite, cubic zirconia, sapphire, rubies, diamonds. but you have to be really careful. Some of them, sometimes a stone can say it can be cast in place, but it may crack. You also want to make sure you don't quench your flasks. It can be hit or miss. I've never had a problem with sapphire or moissanite. The only problem I've ever had with those gemstones, not even with the gemstones, but just of the process of casting in place, is sometimes your stones will fall into your piece. If that makes sense. Like, because you know, you burn out the wax and there's a negative cavity until the metal gets poured in. Sometimes, if I think it happens if your flasks get shaken, or maybe the act of turning it and dropping it into the vacuum chamber maybe knocks them out of their little setting and they fall into the negative cavity of the ring, and then you pour your metal in and they just get swallowed up. And sometimes you'll see it kind of sticking out of the side of your ring. So you have to be really careful when casting stones in place that you're putting enough wax on top of the stone so it doesn't fall out of your piece, and make sure that you're putting enough wax underneath, or even cutting a hole so that the investment can fill and hold the back of your stone in place. I know it's hard to picture, but because sometimes it can fall in, so just be careful. Da-da-da. Would you ever have a greenhouse or something? I'd love to have a greenhouse. The only thing is that they're really expensive. But also, I live in Idaho and it's really, really cold and it snows, not a ton, but I worry that all my plants would freeze outside. Um, so yeah, I think that's one reason why I probably would avoid it. But what got you into jewelry crafting? COVID. I started making jewelry during COVID just for fun. I was making clay jewelry. It was when clay jewelry was really, really popular, and I was bored, and I was in England at the time, so we were like super, super heavily locked down, and I didn't have anything to do, and I started playing, and then I enjoyed it, and then I was like, I don't want to make things out of clay anymore. I want to make things that are going to last a really long time. And so then I got into like basic silversmithing, and then I found wax carving, and then once I found wax carving, I was obsessed with it and I never stopped. And yeah, here I am. Okay, let's see. This is very cute. I don't know if I want to keep the hole in the middle. I actually don't think I'm going to keep the hole in the middle. I might even put like one bigger gem right here. I might go for a 2 mil. No. I'm just gonna add one more gem in here. One more small one. I really hope that these cast well in place. We will see. So I'm just gonna fill that with some wax and put this stone in here. I had like a little hole in this earring, but it just didn't really look right. And if I'm gonna go with this comet theme, there aren't holes in comets. This is gonna be very cute. Kind of take some of that wax off the face. I'll show you guys a little bit of what it looks like right now. But it looks like a little comet. Let me find some sticky tack, and that way I can show you without my fingers being in the way. That's really sweet. My favorite Disney princess. Probably, does Anastasia count? I love Anastasia. I love that movie. But I do like Moana too. Let's see. Do you need wax files for wax carving, or do you use old files? Sorry if that's a dumb question. It's not a dumb question at all. I have both. I have some wax files and I have my normal like jeweler files, and I don't know why I always gravitate toward using these. I think because the wax files leave such deep scratches. If I'm taking off, like these are good for taking off bulk material, because look at the teeth. They leave huge gouges in your wax. If I'm taking off bulk material, which is kind of what those files are for, I just use my burrs, my wax burrs. I got this little set from Rio Grande recently, and this is really nice for taking off like bulk wax. It comes with all 4 of them, and I think it's only $15 from Rio Grande. But that's what I usually use. Thank you, James. Thank you, Jennifer. So this is what we got for the earring so far. I still have to remove some wax around the stone. I don't know if you guys can see really well what that looks like. But it looks like a little comet. But I thought that would be like a cute little stud. Anyway, no real rhyme or reason around it, just playing to see how this bronze comes out and to see how these stones cast in place. Yeah, the wax burrs are really good. I can't believe I went this long wax carving without having any wax burrs, but they make a huge, huge, huge difference. Do you make a silicone cast for every new ring size that you make from wax? No. So when I make a mold of a ring, I just make it of whatever the ring size is that I have on hand. And then when someone orders the ring, if it's not the size that I made the mold of, I just cut the band and add wax in between and just resize it, just like you normally would when it's in metal. So just one mold. Which I say that as if that's like easy, but some people are keeping their molds with their casters. And so you wouldn't have, I don't know if they would resize your rings for you. So that might be something you have to discover on your own. If I had someone else casting my work and I wanted to make molds, I would absolutely invest in a wax injector. Have them make a mold, but have them mail it back to you. That way you can wax inject your molds, cut and resize them, because they may not do that for you. They may not offer that for you. Hope that can help you. Okay, I just want to make sure everything has enough wax removed from the face so that you can actually see every stone. This one's still covered a bit more than I would like. Thank you, Jennifer. A good thing for your eyelashes is castor oil. I try and put castor oil on my eyelashes every night when I go to sleep. And you can get it from Walmart. hard working on pieces that are so tiny. You really want to make sure that the face is showing on all of them because that's where a lot of the sparkle comes through. And if you're covering up the face, then it's just gonna look like, I don't know, like a dud, a dud of a gemstone is in there. Do you think you'll ever hold classes? So I have thought about that. I found a studio in the next town over that I considered renting so that I could offer to host people for classes, like one-on-one classes. I've been asked about that many times. So I think in the future I am willing to do that. I would like to do that. I like sharing knowledge and teaching people, and yeah, I'm definitely open to the idea. I do think though that I still need a little bit more experience. There's some things I want to learn first. There's some classes that I personally want to take before I feel comfortable like holding my own class, if that makes sense. But yes, in the future I would love to hold in-person classes and teach people like on a one-on-one or maybe like 2 students at a time in between like my own work. I never want to lose like touch with my own work. And I feel like that's really easy to do, especially if you stretch yourself too thin of like doing social media and teaching. And, I just always have to remind myself, like, okay, keep making new pieces, like, keep learning, keep getting better. But yes, to answer your question, yeah, I would like to in the future. Especially like casting classes. I feel like a lot of people feel like they would benefit from like having an actual hand and trying it instead of just watching videos. Um, kind of want to round out the face a little bit more. Thank you, Jennifer. You're very sweet. Yeah, that studio space was so cute. And it's right next door to a coffee shop. It's like an actual storefront. And I thought it would be really cool to, see what having a storefront could maybe do for my business. But I think I just have to be patient and be realistic with where I am and where I'm not. I feel like I'm doing really well, and I feel like I could screw it all up by trying to open a storefront and put that financial burden on myself. So one day, I just have to be patient. Yeah, at my work, I purposefully declined doing more oversight work because I wouldn't get it designed as much. Yeah. It sucks because it's like, the desire is there, but then you gotta just always come back to, like, what am I doing this for? What's my goal? What do I want to be like remembered for? Do I want people, when they think of me, do I want them to think of me as a jeweler or do I want them to think of me as a teacher? And I want them to think of me as a jeweler that they would like to learn from, if that makes sense. So right. I'm almost done with this piece. I really didn't think this would take me that long. I just kind of got into like perfecting mode, and even though it is a test, I would still like for it to turn out pretty. That's investment, that's kiln time, that's a design that could be really good. I really think this is a cute earring. It kind of looks like, okay, tell me if this looks like a comet or like a little whale. I don't know. I think it looks like a little comet. Can you see? I feel like it's hard to focus on it. Maybe if I made the tail a little longer, I don't know. Is it too abstract? Are people just gonna see that and be like, what the hell is that? I just think it'd be cute in gold, just two little comets. I feel like the size is good. Let's see. We don't have a lot of jewelry stores in the area, no. And also, the jewelry that I make is so different from like Zales or whatever other like, you know, jewelry stores are out there. They're very like traditional, which is beautiful, but nothing like custom or independent like mine. And I don't know. One day, I think I would do it one day, but getting into making mouth jewelry and rings, and I found your page. That's cool. So many gems in your video. Thank you. Thanks for existing in this space and sharing your knowledge. Thank you, Erin. That's so sweet. I'm really happy I can help. I've seen so many people start following me that are making grills and stuff, and it is so cool to see the molds that you guys get of people's teeth and just like all the gems that you put in them, and I'm glad I can help. Thank you. The gold nug with a gemstone. Yeah, cool. Like a raindrop too? Oh, that's true. Yeah, maybe even more so, huh? Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Jayshree. Jayshree? Jayshree? Is it necessary to vacuum a silicone mold twice? Yes. So you vacuum it, like you vacuum the silicone when you mix it together because it creates so much air in there. If you put that in your silicone mold frame without vacuuming it first, you're gonna have so many aggressive bubbles that it can pull your piece out of your frame and it'll just free float around in there. So yeah, always vacuum your mixing bowl, and then when you pour it into your mold frame, you have to vacuum that again because you introduce more air. And if you don't vacuum those bubbles out when you go to inject your mold, you're gonna have you're gonna see those bubbles attached to your piece. So like you'll literally see little bubbles of wax on your piece. So you have to vacuum it twice. Yes, I'm sorry. Let's see. Favorite singer? Ooh, it's between like, oh, I love Kelly Clarkson. Not only is she a really good singer, but she's a really nice human. So she's probably my favorite. And I also love Adele. And I also love Hosier. Anyone with like a very like emotional voice. Thank you, Colin. What recipes do I have? Like for food? I make really good gumbo. Dun, dun, dun. I am 29, Darren. Web development. Oh. Unfortunately, I don't need any help with anything, but your frequently asked question link at the bottom of your site is linking back to your About Us page, but the one at the top goes to the correct frequently asked question page. Thought you should know. Thank you. Maybe I do need help. Let me rephrase. I need help in a lot of areas of my business, but I can't afford help. I appreciate the correction there. I definitely will go fix it. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Let me just make sure this is where I want to stop. Really decide. I think I could take away a little more wax. On some of the gems. Oh, trying to find new recipes to cook. Something quick or something that takes a long time but is really good. Hey Isaac, 1 second. Let's see. Hi. What were you saying? Are you? I'm still on live, but are you done with your game?
My 2 hours isn't up. I was gonna ask if I could get a snack.
Yeah, grab a snack. Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry, I didn't go your wrong way.
It's okay. It's my kid. Going into work and was curious on the finished look before you cast it. This is what I have so far. I'm just taking away any extra. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got about 6 gemstones in there. Hopefully you'll see whenever I'm done. Maybe I'll post a video or a photo in the community once I cast it, so that those of you that are on here, you can see what it looks like. Yeah, some weirdos. Isaac is my son. I recently just realized that I haven't been making a hole in the back of the wax for the gemstones. So much learning. Oh, thank you. You don't have to make a hole for the back for the gemstones. I've just found through trial and error that whenever my gemstones fall into my ring, it's usually because I didn't have a hole in the back. So you can make rings and cast them in place without the hole in the back. I've just found I've had more successful cast in place sessions when I had the hole in the back, and that it just gave the stone more support when it's in the flask. Because if you think of how everything burns out, if I just have my stones in here, which is fine, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna cast them like this. I'm not gonna put any holes in the back because I have to solder the ear post on the back. When you don't have the holes in the back, when this wax burns away, there's nothing in the back of the earring to hold the gemstones in. All I'm counting on is that the face, like the investment that's in front of these faces of the stone, are gonna hold them in place. If I had a hole in the back, then that investment would have filled in the hole, and the stone would be held in from the back of the earring and from the investment on the top, if that makes sense. Yeah. Certain stones you can cast with, yeah, moissanite, diamonds, rubies, sapphire, a lot of lab-grown gems. Lab-grown gems can be hit or miss, but also like keep them on the small side. I'm good, Lindy. I'm really good. I had a really good iced coffee today, and it snowed a bunch yesterday, and so it's so beautiful outside. So yeah, I'm really good. Thank you for asking. Hope you're good as well. Okay, I'm just making sure that I like the way that this looks, because once it's cast, it's too late. Okay, just need to fill this in the back. I'm so hungry. Thank you, Hannah. Just gonna flatten out the back real quick so it's all really flat. Thank you, Theodore. Is it daytime there? Because in our country it's, oh Lord, it is 4:04. Where are you from, Jennifer? Like what country are you in? I Oh, England. Nice. What part of England? Let's see. Thank you. I'm happy I can help. Warrington. I don't know where that is. Can you tell me, like, is it south, middle? Like, what are you close to? Like, how far away are you from London or from Paris, Germany? Very cool. Okay. So I think I'm happy with how this looks. I'm just gonna, real quick, make sure that it's a decent size, not too big. Okay. I think this is good, especially just for test piece. I shouldn't spend so much time on it. All right, so we're gonna add a sprue. Here. Hi, North Carolina. I used to live in North Carolina. I'm making an earring. Okay. I have some sticky wax back here. I'm just trying to like dip into. If you are casting or you are going to be sending your stuff to be cast and you plan on attaching your own sprues, I really, really, really recommend that you get some sticky wax. It's called Modeler's Sticky Wax, and it is like concrete level sticky, and it just keeps your sprue from falling off. And your piece, if you don't sprue your piece up well or make that connection really good, then when you pour your investment over it and you're vacuuming it out, it can fall off your tree. So you want to have like a really good connection. It also just helps like the process of attaching your stuff to a sprue. Fort Bragg? No, I was near Seymour Johnson, so near Goldsboro. And then I lived closer to Raleigh for a little while, and then I moved. But I love North Carolina. I think it's a beautiful place. My favorite color is pink. Yes, I know. Oh my god, a girl whose favorite color is pink? Yes. It's true. Use a little more of that sticky wax back here. Tilly? Of course you can. I like your name. That's a very cute name, Tilly. I don't think I've ever met a Tilly. looking for my scissors. Happy New Year to you as well. I'm from Southeast Texas. All right, I'm gonna go get the flask part real quick. Here's my little baby flask for this. I'm gonna go get my scale. Where's my scale? So you don't want to forget, some people do this differently. So some people will weigh the base and then put the tree on there and then weigh the whole thing together. I just like to weigh my wax. So once it's on the tree, I just cut it. Make sure this is the right base for this. I'm making an earring. That's what it's all about. And I'm gonna invest this flask so that we can cast it. I did get a bigger kiln. I got a Paragon kiln. I haven't used it yet. I've still been using my small one just because I haven't had to use a bigger flask yet or had to cast like multiple flasks at a time. But I'm glad that I have it ready whenever I do that, but I ended up getting a Paragon kiln. I also need to cut a hole in it to let the wax vent. Interesting. Let's see. So the tree is not sticky wax. Let's see. It's not sticky wax, it's just normal sprue wax. It's not sticky at all. Actually, it's really, really, really soft. And if you heat it up too much, it will start to lean. I get my modeler's sticky wax from Rio Grande. So if you need something sticky, that's what I use. It doesn't even need to be that tall. Just cut it down. All right, I'm gonna weigh this because later I'm gonna use this number to calculate how much brass I need to melt. So 0.4 grams. I'm just gonna write that. I was gonna use my hand. Let's see. 0.41 grams. Thank you, Ronnie. The red sprue you use, are you getting these on Amazon or somewhere else? The last thing I need to order before my furnace, kiln, and investment casting machine arrives. I get my red sprue wax from Rio Grande. They send it in a huge, it's a lot at first. I think it's like maybe $48 or something like that. But just know they send you a gigantic bag that's probably about a foot or two, well, maybe like a foot and a half long. It's huge. They send you a gigantic bag with, I mean, it's probably 2.5 times this long. The sticks are huge. So I probably will be able to use, I mean, I've been using this wax, that same bag for a year, and I cast all the time. And I still have more than half of the bag left over. So I recommend Rio Grande. I mean, that's where I got that from. But going Going with the generic wax injector from Amazon, found a good deal. Oh, good. I hope it works well. I think I have a Stuhler account. Yeah, you're welcome. Rio Grande has a lot of stuff for casting. So does Pepe Tools, so does Auto Fray. All of them have like a pretty good amount of stuff for casting. I naturally gravitate to Rio Grande for consumables just because I have a wholesale account with them. And so I have like a tax-free account with them. And so I try to get most of my consumables from them, like all my metals and stuff, so that I don't have to pay sales tax on it. Since I manufacture my jewelry, if you are manufacturing your work, you don't have to pay sales tax on your like metals and stuff, and your consumables, like the consumables you use a lot. You just have definitely Google it for your state, fill out the right paperwork, but you will save a ton of money in sales tax, especially if you're working in gold a lot or other like high expense metals. Oh, nice. That's cool. No sales tax in general for you. So that's what my little flask or my little tree looks like. And there's the earring. And so I'm just gonna put my flask on there. Does that mean you need an LLC to say you're manufacturing? I looked into gold options and realized I need a wholesale account. No, I'm not an LLC. I'm a sole proprietor. You just put in your social security number, and when you fill out the paperwork, you can qualify for a wholesale account if you are manufacturing your jewelry. I would go look at their website and look at the information they have on it before you do anything. Considering how long it takes to cast, would you usually build the tree up as much as you can? Yes. So normally I would try and cast only when I have multiple pieces of jewelry, but because I'm testing out casting with bronze for the first time ever, I'm gonna start making my master copies of my jewelry in bronze instead of making it in gold, which is expensive, and making it in silver. And I've never cast in bronze before, and so I don't want to spend all of my time on a bunch of pieces right now, new pieces, just to have like a failure with this stuff. So I'm just casting one piece to test it, to get the right temperature, to see if I even like this bronze. It might be too brown for me. It might be too red for me. I don't know. I've never used it. So that's why I'm casting just one piece, just a test piece. Happy birthday, Belly Bus. I know Florida, anything under 500 is taxable, then anything over is not. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, nice. Bronze temp is like 1980. I haven't done any research on it yet. I Googled briefly, but I haven't done any like big research. I was just gonna Google it before I went to pour. But I think what I saw was a good casting temp was anywhere from 1990 to 2200, depending on what you're casting. I probably will do 1990 with this, and then just see how it goes, or 2000. Let's see. Ask a little topic question. That's how how to get successful on YouTube. I really don't know the secret of YouTube. I think if I had to give any advice on YouTube, it would be to make really valuable content, especially in the beginning. Like, make things that people are looking up. Like, think of yourself as like a Google like search engine, and like what would people type to you that they want to know that you can answer. So that's like some of my first videos were like basic silversmithing tools, basic wax carving tools, how to solder, like those things that people are actually Googling. As much as I wanted to make videos on like, you know, more personal business stuff, I knew that people weren't searching for that. And so in the beginning, I would say really make videos that you know people are searching for, make not selfish content, and then eventually when people start finding you and they start asking questions, then you can make videos about that. But that's my recommendation. And just be yourself and try and be consistent. Thank you, Minnie. Okay, I'm gonna go invest this flask. I'll take you guys along with me. Let me find my stand. Let me just set you back right here. I'm gonna get my stand set up real quick. Okay, so we just have to wrap this with tape so the investment doesn't come out through the holes of the flask. Let me see where I can set you. That'll work. I got a big mess up here. Tom was helping me set up my my new air compressor for my GRS graver. I got a pneumatic graver. And so yeah, there's a lot of like tubes cut up and stuff. Anyway, this particular flask is, I believe, let's see, 5 ounces, so 57 ounces of water, no, ounces, I don't know, and then 5 ounces of investment. Let's see. I like Pepe tools as well. I love the Pepe lube, it works great. Yeah, the blue stuff is really good. Been using Amazon, eBay just to save a buck. Yeah. Gosh, I feel like I haven't cast since like 2 weeks before Christmas. So I'm very, very excited. I'm hoping that this works out well. So make sure you press your tape really well. The first time I ever cast, and I have a video of it, I didn't put the tape all the way down to the bottom, and I didn't push the tape around, and so it leaked, and it was just investment everywhere. So it can be really messy. Let's see. Pneumatic graver, yeah. Thank you, Sam. The water in my bucket has evaporated a lot. have some old investment in here, and I really don't want to have anything that's gonna put chunks in your investment. Okay, so I need 57 milliliters, no, ounces, yeah, it is ounces. Of distilled water. I really do wonder if dudes that have YouTube channels get these weird ass comments on their videos, or if it's just women. I don't know. This is an interesting question. I noticed that most of the comments come whenever I'm not sitting down and I'm showing more than just my face. When I'm just existing, people like to be fucking weirdos. But whatever, not gonna ruin my life. Let's see. You got the graver, that's a major upgrade. Yeah, it's a really, really good upgrade. Hoping I can get some new gear this year. Family emergency last year kept me from, oh, I'm sorry. I hope you have a better year. I hope you can get some dream tool. But yes, that was a big, big dream tool of mine. And I played with it a little bit. I've only had it for about a full day now. And it is really, really good. It's really good. Everyone gets weird. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Oh, good. That's good to know. Okay. So we need 5 ounces of investment. Let me make sure that this mixer is plugged in. It is. All right, I'm gonna bring y'all down here because my mixer the cord is really short, and I want y'all to be able to see. Let's see. Put you right here. I think that'll work. I've never made a grill before. I would assume the process is the same as making like the jewelry that I make. And I'm assuming it'd probably be the same 8 hours. Thank you, Emily. I'm glad they could help. It's definitely something that I wish I could have found when I first started. But good thing is that the waiters are here. The algorithm is trying to push. Yeah, thank you, Goya. Yeah, 8 hours, if not more, depending on how big your flask is. But 8 hours has been pretty standard for me. Even with some of my bigger pieces of jewelry, that's been pretty typical. Okay, so I gotta put my mask on. If you plan on doing this process, you have to have a mask. His investment is really, really cancerous. So you don't want to breathe that in. So weigh this first. I just need 5 ounces. Too much? Too much? Still too much? Still too much? Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this off. Set a timer for 8 minutes. So I got this, and I'll just put it at 8 minutes. Put that there for you. So now I can take my mask off. Sometimes I take my mask off like halfway through the mixing process. Like, I don't know about you guys, but having like a mask on feels very claustrophobic, and so it's not really an enjoyable experience for me. But we're vacuuming the air bubbles out. Catch up on your messages. I just leave it in there for about a minute. Let's see. Yeah, it is fun finding everyone, Emily, especially when you first start and you feel like you're the only one that likes what you like. But I'm glad you found me. My favorite jewelry to make are probably rings and earrings. I was mixing investment, and investment is cancerous, and so you have to wear a mask when it's in powder form because I like my lungs and I don't want to have to chop them out later. Thank you, Denaria. It's really sweet of you to say. How did I learn to make jewelry on my own? Naked research websites. Google, YouTube, trial and error. A lot of trial and error. I watched a lot of, like, I learned a lot from like just watching other people make jewelry. So like Adrienne Rose jewelry, The Bench, the Silversmithing Society, The Art of Metalsmithing. Those are a few different accounts that I watched a lot. Let me just make sure I'm leaving enough time. It's Andrew Berry at the bench. I think I said that wrong at first. Yeah. You're welcome. I use an electric melting furnace. I don't use a crucible. I melt everything in there with the electric furnace. I don't use like a crucible and a torch. This investment got really thick really quickly, so I need to hurry up before it sets. Yeah, once you get into it, you're constantly, for Christmas and birthdays, asking for hammers and torches and all sorts of random tools. Yeah, thank you, Denaria. I don't use any ring templates. They do have some stencils that you can use on Rio Grande and Amazon. Very new in making jewelry. I basically have no room for any equipment. I have no garage or basement. Many jewelry making processes are messy. Yeah, that's true. If you are lacking space, so whenever I first started, I was making jewelry out of a spare bedroom. If you have maybe a spare bedroom or can sacrifice like a section of your dining room, I don't know, you don't have to have all of these tools and equipment. You can outsource casting, you can outsource stone setting. There are ways to make it work if you want it really bad. You can, like I used to sit on the floor and make jewelry on an old like rolling drawer. So maybe just try and work with what you have. I'm making an earring. Thank you for answering questions. I love your necklaces and rings. Oh, Paola, how are you? Thank you. I did want to ask, would you ever consider making bracelets? I've thought about making bracelets. Yeah, I would consider adding a few to the website. I've just been so glued to rings and earrings and stuff, but yes, I would consider making bracelets. I don't always have a desire to work with chain, and making bracelets would mean being willing to solder tiny charms onto chain. So, okay. Okay, so that is gonna take 2 hours to set in there. So in 2 hours, I'll turn my kiln on and put that in there. And then in the morning, I'll cast and I'll try and take a picture and put it in the community chat so you guys can see what it looks like if you want. Let's see. Yeah. It's okay. Maybe you found yourself into a hobby that you didn't know was going to turn into a career. Do I prefer bevel or prong settings for gemstones? It depends on the stone and the cut. I really like prong settings, but some stones just look better in a bezel setting, so it just depends on the stone. But I'm gonna let you guys go here. It's been a long time. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten today, and it's almost 5 o'clock. So I'm gonna go. I'll put that picture up when I'm done, hopefully in the next day or two. And thank you guys that are here to actually watch my video and being nice. And yeah, I have nothing nice to say to the other ones. But I hope y'all have a good new year, and I'll see you in my next video. And yeah, have a good night, guys. Thanks for being here.